Good morning, everybody. I am Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys, and today we're doing a bit of an open house live stream to show you what our routine is for market prep and then coverage during the market trading day. So we're going to go through a bit of an overview of the indices and some commodities, and then going to watch the market open, and eventually I'm going to take some ticker requests at around 9:50 a.m. from Chart Guys members, and we will take it from there. So first things first, starting off the morning, every day I go through the whiteboard here. We've got our economic events to be watching on the day, and not a whole lot going on today. A couple things, 9:45, 10 a.m. that could impact the very short-term time frames. Look at some commodity levels, then go through the major players, major sectors, and things like that, just getting ready for the day. And so now it's all about the hourly time frame. It's always nice when things correlate to the point where pretty much all the charts that I'm watching are doing the same thing on the hourly time frame right now, and there's just varying degrees of relative strength and relative weakness. And so the simple statement for the morning for a ton of individual stocks and sectors is the bulls must hold the afternoon low from yesterday, because that needs to be the hourly high or low, and they must break the high of yesterday to confirm the hourly uptrend for the first time in days for the daily bounce to be underway. So the burden is on bulls to break highs of yesterday to confirm hourly uptrends. And then from there, we're going to zoom out and we're going to anticipate that a daily lower high is the most likely result of that bounce. So I personally am bullish in the short term, but I know that even as early as tomorrow, maybe Thursday, depending on earnings reactions, or I should say, either Wednesday or Thursday, knowing we got Google earnings after hours today. But I'm going to be scouting daily lower highs as a bear soon, shortly, not just yet. And a couple things that I'll be watching for. I'll be watching to see if the bulls confirm the hourly uptrend. Do we see the hourly RSI get overbought? We know that if we're scouting daily lower highs, hourly RSI getting overbought is an area where we start to keep an eye out for that daily lower high to shape up. So again, it all depends on your time frames. I'm bullish in the short term, watching for the bulls to confirm these hourly uptrends today. And then I'll take a step back and zoom out and be scouting for daily lower highs tomorrow or Thursday. And it's the same setup for a ton of individual names. If we break the low of afternoon consolidation on any individual name, it's the first red flag for bulls. And that increases the probabilities that we will fail to confirm the hourly uptrend and get the daily bounce going. It's not game over, because there would be a possible scenario where we hold the low of yesterday and then somehow recover. But again, it's just determining probabilities. And we know that the highest probability of confirming an hourly uptrend is holding the afternoon consolidation low. We know the NASDAQ yesterday was stronger than the S&P 500. Its hourly higher low that needs to hold is 355.51. And we got to break the high to confirm the hourly uptrend. Right now, the NASDAQ QQQ here has been in a daily stair-step drop with a lower high every single day, 7 days in a row. And so again, we're watching for that to break, and then we're watching for a daily lower high to be the result of that bounce. The dollar had a key bear break of support, and that was the first confirmed daily downtrend in months for the dollar. But the bears don't like the fact that it's a big bounce going on right after that bear break took place. So what that means is it's a possible bull flag. We know that trend changes confirming with zero follow-through is the first indication of a potential flag. And we know to zoom out and watch for that possible flag. So what would that be looking like? Something like this. So my simple statement for the dollar is, if weekly EMA 12 is support, the bulls don't have anything to worry about, and it's healthy consolidation. Essentially, if weekly EMA 12 is support, it's a weekly bull flag, and the burden is on bears to prove to us that it is not. So bigger picture, looking into the rest of the week, we're going to see if the bulls are going to continue shaping up this possible bull flag. As far as the short term, as far as today is concerned, we are watching for a dollar 4-hour lower high. This has been a significant bounce off the lows. Anything under 106.33 is just a 4-hour lower high, and if the bulls are for real, they will have to eventually confirm the 4-hour uptrend to follow through with this bounce. And right now, just looking at the hourly, it's an hourly stair step. We're going straight up the last 6 hours. And so if I'm keeping an eye on the dollar, I'm watching for, on the morning, the hourly stair step to break into hourly consolidation. And the metals are seeing daily consolidation, and the gold bulls are trying for an hourly oversold bounce. So this is technically a back burner in the sense that we know the gold bulls had a very strong bounce just straight up for a couple of weeks there, breaking a lot of resistance levels. And so this is where we get information as far as how strong are bulls, because we know if bulls are their strongest, hourly oversold conditions, which we hit this morning, will mark a daily higher low, because that shows us a number of things. It shows us there's a lot of capital on the sideline buying consolidation that may have been patient and missed the significant move up recently. And it keeps pressure on bears if the consolidation remains minimal. So what the gold bulls want to see is a confirmed hourly uptrend to indicate that the hourly oversold drop this morning is potentially shaping up that daily higher low. And we can say that the gold bulls are positioned well compared to the dollar, because here's 4 hours, 5 hours of drop, and the bounce is underway, inverse to the dollar bull move, but the dollar hasn't topped out yet. So we could say that gold bulls are positioned fairly well if the dollar sees hourly consolidation to try and shape up bounce follow through. So there are no red flags, and pretty much, it's the same mindset for me. So I just said that the dollar bulls don't have anything to worry about if weekly EMA 12 is support. And I'm going to say the same thing on gold. The gold bulls don't have anything to worry about if daily EMA 12 is support. And I use that EMA 12 many times as just being able to make that simple statement and use it as a consolidation gauge to say, is this healthy and normal consolidation, knowing that we just went straight up, or is it more significant? And the reason that the EMA 12 works so well for that is because if we hold it, it's 382 retracement or less, favoring continuation. And if we lose it, we then create the space for the bears to try and confirm a daily downtrend and regain momentum on a longer term time frame. So we're going to watch the daily EMA 12 support on gold, but obviously best case for the bulls at this point would be shaping up a daily bull flag. Silver, a little bit weaker than gold recently, just in the sense that silver is still rejecting from weekly resistance. I'm watching for the possibility that silver shapes up an inverse head and shoulders on the weekly if we pull back further from here. But it's trying to hold daily EMA 12. And silver, I wouldn't consider it the same kind of back burner in the sense that I would not, this hourly oversold is not the same magnitude as gold, because gold, again, was much stronger on the bounce, just in terms of the straight up nature of the daily stair step move where, we set a higher low every single day for weeks. But same thing, bulls want to see hourly oversold, mark a daily higher low, and try and get some continuation. And whether or not the dollar confirms a 4-hour uptrend from here is going to have some significant impact for the rest of the week. Oil. So keeping an eye out for oil weekly lower high. That's been our most likely scenario after the size of this drop. And then we were watching the 4-hour to potentially be a rising wedge for that weekly lower high to be shaping up. And so that has broken bear. Now we're on the daily. So the daily time frame is a potential head and shoulders. I'm viewing this for oil. If we hold 84.39 support, I'll be watching for the bears to try and confirm a daily downtrend next bounce. And if we confirm that daily downtrend, the weekly lower high will be set, and we'll be looking back down towards 80.20 support. And this is on the December oil futures contract. And what I'm watching for is a number of things. I'm watching for, does oil set the weekly lower high? And then after that, do we confirm the weekly downtrend? And I'm watching for that possibility because the energy sector has a wall of resistance at the all-time high that we just rejected from again. We're pulling back pretty significantly on the daily. And same thing, can the energy sector bears confirm a daily downtrend as a result of the next bounce? So I know, again, recently I've talked about a conveyor belt of trades. I want to have trades that I'm watching on the hourly, trades I'm watching on the daily, trades I'm watching on the weekly, and know that they're going to shape up at different times. And so I know that further on down the road in a few days or however long it is, I'm scouting the energy sector next bounce for a daily lower high, and then I'll make a swing trade top fish attempt where I'll look short and I'll put my stop over the all-time high. And then if we confirm the daily downtrend, we'll continue to be shaping up a longer-term pattern that I'm watching, which is the possibility that the energy sector is a monthly rising wedge on the long term. So it's essentially saying, all right, that's a possible monthly rising wedge. If we fail to get over the all-time high, that'll remain on top watch for me. And so then I zoom into the different time frames to try and pinpoint my entry for the longer term pattern setup. But I know that obviously if the energy sector is going to break bear on the longer term time frames, oil will have to see some considerable weakness for that to happen. And so that would essentially mean oil has to confirm a weekly downtrend if that energy sector bear trade is going to shape up. And I'm open to that possibility. You know, you go to the monthly time frame and this December contract on oil, if we reject from that resistance, or even just the 2-month, let's condense it. So we had the high, big time drop, big time bounce, but if we can't get over that high, we're going to look for this longer term range to tighten up. So that's something, again, that I'm watching for into early November as a possible trade setup. And just looking for more information, new information every single day as that continues to try and shape up. But I know as far as from a risk to reward perspective, I've got to see a daily bounce on the energy sector to get that risk lower, to get us near resistance, so I can make an entry and then have, you know, a couple % of risk, and the reward would be multiple times what that risk is. Natural gas trying to get the bounce going, but not ideal for this 4-hour candle here. We did just confirm the 4-hour uptrend, which we know is needed to get the daily bounce going, but we also just pulled back a lot more significantly than bulls would want to see. And so it's another potential daily bear flag. And we had one back here, and this was the first red flag for bulls. And so it's a possibility of another one here. And so the burden is on bulls to prove to us that this is not a bear flag. And to do so, we need to get back to right where we came from. We need an hourly high or low and to head back towards 3 psychological. If we cannot do that, the daily bear flag will remain on the table. Bitcoin putting on a show. And cryptocurrency, you know, those of us that watch cryptocurrency every day, regardless of bull market, bear market, boring, whatever, we could tell over the weekend things are different. You know, and I could clearly say that crypto right now, over the last week, is different than it's been in the last 3 to 4 months. And so that lets us know that the market environment is shifting. Now, I couldn't say that Bitcoin's about to go straight up 15% over the next few days, but we could know and recognize that things are shifting. The market environment is different. We're seeing many characteristics of a bull market in terms of the rotation around these altcoins and back burner bounces being bought up on consolidation. And now we have the headline impact where, you know, a lot of this is pricing in the ETF being approved. And why do I say that? Because every time we get more information increasing the probabilities of the ETF headline, we're going up. And yesterday's big spike was because we had some further information of, you know, the ETF being listed on whatever site. I don't have it offhand, the tweet that went out, but it was information that, again, just increases the probabilities. And so if we get an ETF is approved headline this week before daily consolidation in Bitcoin, it will, I'm very confident, well, I have high conviction, it will be a temporary sell the news event, meaning we get the headline, we spike up, and that marks a temporary top. And we then go into consolidation from there. Because again, this is pricing in the move. This is pricing in 101, what has been going on with Bitcoin over the last week. So if we were to get that headline, there's a number of things I'm going to do. I'm going to exit all my crypto positions that are not long-term, no touch. And again, you know, maybe I rebuy it 5% lower on 4-hour consolidation. It's not, you know, I'm not saying that's it, bulls are done. I'm just saying we can expect a spike up and then the start of consolidation. I mean, the 12-hour RSI right now on Bitcoin just hit 93. So we know 12-hour consolidation is inevitable. And again, if the headline came out here, spike up into 12-hour consolidation is what I'm looking for. So a number of things we can be watching for that headline and watching the crypto stocks, which we'll look at in just a moment. And the most aggressive bears that have experience and can protect themselves would be looking for that headline to see an initial spike up to then try and short. And again, that's only if the headline comes out from here, and the probabilities of that may be small. But if we were to start daily consolidation before the headline comes out, that shifts things for me. I'm just talking about right here and now. If the headline comes out in the next couple of days of an approved ETF, I'm looking for it to be a sell the news event. And then we certainly know Bitcoin's going to be looking for a daily higher low. And overall, we're in an area without a ton of resistance. And really overall, I'm watching the 6-month time frame, and I'm looking for a long-term, multi-year equilibrium to potentially be shaping up. But we'll talk about that further on down the road with a long-term perspective. All I care about now is in the short term, Bitcoin's an hourly equilibrium. And this matters if you're looking at the crypto stocks today. So we got the high, hourly higher low, lower high, and anything above 33.7 thousand is a higher low. So we're going to look for this hourly Bitcoin range to be tightening up on the morning, and the direction that it breaks is going to significantly impact the crypto stocks. And so the crypto stocks are lagging way behind Bitcoin in the sense that, Bitcoin just hit 16-month highs, and these crypto stocks aren't even at 2-week highs. And why is that? Because IWM has been pulling back and growth stocks have been pulling back for 3 months, 2.5 to 3 months. So coin is trying to gap up open, and it's the same setup as many names. Again, the hourly bull move yesterday morning, hourly afternoon consolidation. And so with the gap up open, the hourly uptrend is confirming. And now we're zooming out to coin and looking at a bull break to the highest level in the last month or so. And so what coin is trying to shape up here is a monthly higher low. And the month is going to close, obviously, in 7 days here. But some nice bull follow through. And we also know a number of things. With the gap up opens, aggressive bears are going to be watching for some potential profit taking, but we know that that profit taking will only be significant if Bitcoin breaks its hourly tightening range bearish. But we also know that hourly higher lows are the most likely result of any consolidation from here, because anything above 77.10 is an hourly higher low on coin. MARA, gap up open, anything above the low of yesterday is an hourly higher low. We're going to be breaking its tightening range bullish, getting to the highest level in a month. The weekly bounce is now underway. And again, same thing. MARA is trying to shape up a monthly inverse head and shoulders. And so this is the monthly higher low attempt. We're still a long ways away from the recent high, over 100% away, but monthly higher low attempt. Riot, same deal. Riot's trying to get over 1095 to the highest level in a month. Again, anything above 960 will be an hourly higher low on consolidation. And the size of the hourly pullback in these crypto stocks will be directly dictated by whether Bitcoin breaks its hourly tightening range bullish or bearish. And we should get that information after a few hours of trading this morning. So personally, I'm not looking long on these crypto stocks on a gap up open. We know generally speaking, gap ups are for profit taking. But once we get some hourly consolidation, we know that hourly higher lows are going to be the most likely result of that consolidation. All right, looks like NVDA just had some news. I'm seeing in our chat room here. Let's see the reaction, a little bit of a pullback. Pulling up that news real quick. US Gov told blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we were bullish yesterday with relative strength. We had a headline at 3 p.m., which kept the relative strength going. We were setting up for a big gap up open this morning, and now that headline is a bearish reaction. You can see right there on the 5-minute time frame. And so we're coming back down to earth a little bit. And we're now under the high of yesterday. So we went from a 1% plus gap up open to now going to be testing the high of yesterday first thing. And the difference with NVDA compared to individual names, we did not see hourly consolidation because of that relative strength yesterday. Everything else looks like this and is now trading like right here compared to its high of yesterday. NVDA, we can say anything above the low of yesterday is an hourly higher low, and the bulls must confirm an hourly uptrend if this daily bounce is going to see follow through. Bigger picture, I'm watching NVDA on the 2-day time frame, and I'm viewing this as a high, low, lower high, double bottom, and we're scouting a lower high, anything under 476.09. And so the question will be, and here's the resistance zone, which NVDA is currently battling. On the way down, we double topped 432s twice. High of yesterday, 432s. And now right when the bell rings, we're going to be testing 432s. So keep an eye on that resistance zone. It is giving the bulls a little bit of trouble, and that headline is knocking the price back down underneath it. Tesla, so setting an earnings reaction low, and we're going to test the high of yesterday first thing. And so again, there's three ways that this morning plays out with these individual names. We either break the highs of yesterday early on and confirm the hourly uptrend and the daily bounces. We fail the highs of yesterday and break hourly supports, giving a red flag to bulls and having us look at the potential of daily inside bars. Or for names that have more space, we form hourly equilibriums. And a name like IWM has that space. Low of yesterday, high of yesterday, big pullback into the close. It's possible we just form an hourly equilibrium the majority of today on IWM. One thing that is really important to me for the broader market to convince us that a bounce on the daily time frame can get going here is the financial sector. Again, the NASDAQ bulls did what they needed to do yesterday, and they're trying to follow through today. The financial sector is our weakest major sector the last few days. Just big drop, closing at the lows almost, three days in a row now, and just unable to change the hourly trend. What the NASDAQ did yesterday is break the hourly lower high, which then increases the probability significantly that they can confirm an hourly uptrend from there. If you don't break the hourly lower high, it's just a continuation of the hourly downtrend. And that's what XLF did. We failed Friday hourly resistance, and then we dropped to a lower low. So XLF, it's the same start this morning. If we do not break 32.36, it's just another hourly lower high, and the hourly downtrend remains intact. I have to see the financial sector bulls break the hourly downtrend to have any confidence that the S&P 500 can get a daily bounce going. Having the NASDAQ lead a bounce is great, but it can't be the NASDAQ alone. These other sectors have to participate, and yesterday, XLF and XLV did not participate. So watching those two sectors closely, because if they keep dropping to lower lows, this S&P 500 bounce isn't going to go anywhere. So I'm going to be watching those two sectors. Again, not trading XLV anytime recently, but still just viewing it for its importance in the broader market as a whole. Just one of the puzzle pieces. So other major names, as I mentioned, Google has earnings today. We can anticipate that Meta is likely going to see a decent reaction because those names trade hand in hand. You can just look at, this is Google, this is Meta. Their daily charts are the same. They are very correlated. Meta earnings are Wednesday, Google is today. And so if Google is a bullish earnings reaction, the weekly uptrend is going to remain, and we're going to see 52-week highs if it's a bullish reaction. If it's a bearish reaction, we're going to be looking at weekly support and watching to see if we lose the weekly uptrend. This is a potential weekly rising wedge setup, just in the sense that we break into consolidation, but it's one of those unfortunate patterns where, again, it's going to be earnings that dictate how this breaks, which for me is a coin flip reaction. So Google overall holding on well, and if you are a bear in the broader market, you want to see Google and Meta start to weaken because they have been some of the stronger NASDAQ names over the last couple of months. And Meta, same deal. Daily downtrend confirmed, but right into a bounce. Same setup, trying to confirm the hourly uptrend on the morning. So let's now break down. If you're an aggressive bull, you're playing off hourly supports from yesterday afternoon, looking long, and then needing to break the highs of yesterday. And this, again, is referring to any individual names. If you are a patient bull, you're waiting for a big enough bounce on the daily to then look for a daily trend change to try and shape up. You want to see the NASDAQ bounce for multiple days, and then you scout a daily high or low if you're going to be real patient. An aggressive bear today is looking for names that failed to break the highs of yesterday to play off of that resistance. So if the bell rings and, we shoot up on QQQ to upper 358s, but then start to weaken, Bears are playing off the high of yesterday. And a patient bear is what I'm doing, is waiting for a daily lower high to scout a daily lower high short. So that's one way to break it down, is determine whether you're looking long or short and whether you're aggressive or conservative, and that's going to dictate what time frame is most important to you. And so for me, as a patient bear, the daily time frame is what is most important to me. Other major names, a key from here, bigger picture, Apple and Amazon are holding weekly support. We know the NASDAQ broke the weekly support with no follow through at the moment. And so again, if I'm a bear, I really want to see these two names break support. And Amazon has earnings Thursday, and that's going to dictate whether this support holds or not. We held it yesterday. It's a double bottom, 123 and 124, and we held 124 yesterday. I'm rounding a little bit, but base of support. Bulls must confirm the hourly uptrend like everybody else. And again, this is just examples of relative strength and relative weakness. We can see Amazon, what's the probability we break the high of yesterday? Pretty darn high. We're over it right now. What's the probability that Tesla breaks the high of yesterday? It's fairly high. We're close. We're up there. But there are names that are further away. And certainly IWM is an example where we're a lot further away from the high of yesterday. But Amazon, if we do break this level, which looks likely, the daily bounce is underway. And again, we'll just have a tightening range into earnings on Thursday. And it's either going to be a bull reaction or a bear reaction. And that's going to have significant implications on the NASDAQ as a whole. And Apple as well. Daily, or I should say weekly support, 167.62 held. Bulls trying to confirm the hourly uptrend. This is a bit of a different scenario where we barely saw hourly consolidation yesterday afternoon. I would still consider on Apple anything above 169.93 an hourly high or low. But that's one thing to be watching, because if Apple, drops down into low 172s once the bell rings, that's going to make it that much harder for the NASDAQ bulls to break the high of yesterday. Apple was one of the weaker bouncers yesterday. It was the last major NASDAQ name to go green on my screen. And so going to keep an eye on that. Does it continue relative weakness today like it did yesterday, or can the bulls confirm the hourly uptrend and try to shape up a hold of weekly support? Netflix is staying strong for the bulls. It's trying to gap up. Again, we had the earnings reaction, and it's still all bulls. We have not lost the hourly uptrend since that earnings reaction, and we're testing the reaction high, 410.64, first thing. If that breaks, that affirms to us the bulls still have full control. And we got a lot of space where we can pull back multiple percent, and anything above 398.52 will be an hourly high or low. So I'm just keeping it simple and using the hourly uptrend as my guide, knowing that we're not going to top out on this earnings reaction as long as we have the hourly uptrend intact. And there's not a ton of resistance here after 410. I guess there's one little level, 411.39, but then not a whole lot nearby. But again, that hourly uptrend will be our guide. Bears want to see a big enough drop to scout an hourly lower high if we're going to see any kind of momentum shift. But we're starting the morning, first thing, testing resistance. So again, just checking in now as we're about to see the open, the NASDAQ is consolidating a bit. And the only two levels I care about until one or the other breaks is 355.51 and 359.26. And we are fairly close to being smack dab in the middle of that range. Burden is on bulls. We can't cut them any slack. They have to prove to us that they can confirm this hourly uptrend. And again, it's going to stand out to us the names that, I'm logging in as I speak, the names that, one sec, the names that break their high of yesterday versus the names that fail. That's going to be one distinguishing factor first thing on the morning, where we're going to be able to, group names more bullish and more bearish. And so one of the first things that I'm watching here in the first 10 minutes of trading is going to be all of our major sectors and how they are trading relative to each other. Because again, I've got to see the financial sector bulls participate in this bounce to have confidence that it can follow through it all. So Tesla, 217 high of yesterday, test first thing. NVDA is now a bit under its high of yesterday first thing. Crypto stocks are already seeing a little bit of profit taking here as Bitcoin consolidates on the hourly. Again, if you were trading crypto stocks today, you've got to have stops in case that headline drops. And you've got to be watching the hourly tightening range on Bitcoin very closely. Bring on the open. So right now I'm just watching Tesla, high of the day test first thing, high of yesterday I should say. Quick little battle there. XLF 32.36, anything under that is an hourly lower high. And so right now there are some names that are rejecting from their high of yesterday. Netflix is easily through. So Netflix trying to stand out as a lead bull. But I'm looking at Tesla with a double top. Microsoft has not broken. Looks like Google is on the stronger side. It has broken bull. Again, keeping in mind Google's earnings are after hours. Meta is testing. Little bit of a red flag for Tesla. Got to get over that 217 as fast as possible. The NASDAQ bulls are showing up here in the first minute. There we go. So that's a break of resistance. Want to follow through. Tesla's going to be looking at the high of yesterday, or the high of pre-market resistance now. 218.56 is the next level. And so any name that's breaking the high of yesterday before the NASDAQ does is showing a bit of relative strength compared to it. 359.26 on the NASDAQ is still $1 away. So again, the NASDAQ bulls still have proving to do. If we drop down and hit a new low of the day from here, that will be bulls losing some momentum. NVDA failing its high of yesterday and showing the relative weakness due to the headline. So there are definitely some resistance levels that aggressive bears are trying to top fish. The one good thing for the bulls right now is the fact that XLF and XLV are at their high of the day and they are trying to participate in this bounce. But NASDAQ is back at the low and failed, at least on the initial attempt, to break the high of yesterday. So now we look at our support. Bulls must hold 355.51. And it's possible that we chop around a bit between those two levels as the battle rages on. Crypto stocks seeing some of that profit taking. So bears, aggressive bears that were looking for gap up profit taking want to try and get risk-free as soon as possible with a stop above the high of the day. Again, just in case a headline comes out, just in case Bitcoin breaks the hourly bullish. So even though NVDA does have relative weakness, we're not going to forget that an hourly higher low is the more likely scenario. But we're going to use the 5-minute trend as our guide for that hourly higher low to try and shape up. XLF is approaching the high of yesterday. That would be a great sign for the S&P 500 bulls if that level can break 32.36. Pretty quick bounce on NVDA there. Bulls trying to buy that dip. I do think the NVDA current setup is going to have a significant impact on the NASDAQ. So bulls would love to see a new high of the day on NVDA to keep high of yesterday resistance in play. Certainly a decent bit of volatility first thing. Best case for the bulls would be for XLV, XLF, and QQQ to all be at high of the day at the same time. Because again, yesterday the one thing missing was those other sectors participating. Tesla, nice recovery. So Tesla is positioned well if the NASDAQ breaks the high of yesterday. Certainly Netflix as well. Netflix positioned well. And we do have all of our major sectors right up at the highs at the same time. Want to see NVDA over the high of yesterday. You can see that Apple relative weakness is still there. It's the only red name on my screen as far as the NASDAQ related names. And again, that NVDA resistance, 432.48, is still resistance at the moment. Yeah, Apple is clearly relatively weaker. So hourly pullback here, no hourly higher low set on Apple at the moment. 5-minute is oversold. And we know the NASDAQ bulls aren't going to get very far if Apple's hitting the low of the day. XLF bears are going to be hoping for the inability to break the high of yesterday resistance. Crypto stocks trying to recover from that initial pullback. MARA and Riot back to testing the high of the day. Coin as well, so bulls are on that dip initially. Checking on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still not doing a whole lot. Tightening up on the hourly, so this is definitely showing some relative strength in the crypto stocks. So we could say the crypto stocks are positioned well if the NASDAQ continues to head towards the high of yesterday and breaks it. Some 1-minute increasing bull volume on MARA. Watch the highs of pre-market as resistance. Riot is currently pulling back just under. MARA is testing 1019. So we got XLF testing the high of yesterday. We got XLV definitely participating in the bounce. It had a gap down open today, and it's been all bulls since that open. The biotech sector, which has been crushed recently, is participating in the bounce. IWM is testing the high of yesterday. So the weaker sectors from yesterday are participating. ARKK, big follow through over the high of yesterday. So again, from a bigger picture perspective, the bulls are liking that these other sectors are getting involved in the bounce, but still want to see the NASDAQ break as well. The two things that bulls want to see are Apple shake off this relative weakness into a new high of the day, and NVDA break the double top at the high of yesterday. That would help the NASDAQ bulls get to a high of yesterday test. XLF currently pulling back just under the high of yesterday. If we were to fail from here, we're going to be watching XLF for an hourly inverse head and shoulders attempt. But we would need to head to the low of the day for it to be a convincing rejection from high of yesterday resistance. Checking in on AI. I've still got a swing AI position open. It's benefiting from the growth strength. Again, look at ARKK. Convincingly over the high of yesterday. Still a daily downtrend. We're not going to lose sight of that. But AI, 2646 daily downtrend resistance. And bulls are hoping to build a base of support down here, but we need to get back up towards 2750 for bulls to prove confidence in that support holding. NVDA trying to make it back to the high. So QQQ is creeping towards resistance. 359.26. Tesla next resistance. I'm looking at 218.86, which just broke. That was the high of Friday. Now there's an extended hours level at 221.18. Actually, 221 is a tiny little hourly level with not much else nearby. We'll look to that from Thursday last week. But again, a good start in terms of breaking the high of yesterday. And now just hoping that the NASDAQ joins in breaking the high of yesterday to continue pushing it a bit higher. NVDA double top has broken. That's a good sign for the NASDAQ bulls. And we are seeing an inverse relationship right now where XLF is pulling back while QQQ heads higher. So right now, XLF is a daily inside bar. QQQ bears going to try and defend the high of yesterday. We came just now within 30 cents or so. But again, things are shaping up pretty well for the bulls first thing here. We're only 21 minutes, 11 minutes into the day, 12 minutes. But the fact that other sectors are participating is increasing confidence a bit. IWM high of yesterday resistance is rejecting the price initially. We failed by 23 cents. So the scenario we have right now is all of our sectors are currently not breaking high of yesterday, but individual names that are showing some relative strength have. So it's got to be these ETFs following through from here to join in. Crypto stock still really nice follow through. MARA is up 18%. And again, you look at the 5-minute time frame for Bitcoin right now, and this crypto stock move since the bell rang is not related to Bitcoin at all in terms of tick for tick correlation. It's just a lot of bulls saying, hey, Bitcoin was extremely bullish overnight and wanting positions. We could be watching 2-minute stair-step patterns on those names. Since the low of the day, it's been nothing but a higher low every 2-minute candle. Coin resistance from here. We're getting to multiple month highs now. So that's the monthly higher low set on coin. Very nice follow through. So Apple is really the only relatively weak name that's standing out on my screen. But again, it's got to be these sectors that follow along. Because if we don't break the highs of yesterday in SPY, QQQ, IWM, XLF, then we know we're not going much further than this. Bulls have to prove it. Posting the ticker request thread in the Slack chat room. New high of the day for Tesla. Again, just consistent relative strength. Every time an individual name hits a new high and its ETF is not doing so, it keeps showing you that relative strength. I'm going to be using the 2-minute uptrend guide on these crypto stocks. So QQQ has given back half of the morning move up. We've got to set the 5-minute higher low and confirm the 5-minute uptrend if that high of yesterday is going to break. If we were to see a new low of the day from here, that's definitely a red flag for a double top rejection. It wouldn't be game over for the bulls, but again, it would be a probability shifter, and it would definitely give the bears some confidence. And it's Apple trying to head to its low of the day first. NEE, checking on the utilities name, had earnings this morning. It's trying to confirm the first daily uptrend after the massive dump, but stalling out just under it at the moment. So possibility that we form a tightening daily range. I'm going to keep an eye on that into next week if it does end up a nice tight daily range. QQQ bulls need to show up here and defend the low of the day. Again, just so many of these sectors right now are just double topping. IWM failed resistance by 23 cents. XLF failed resistance by a penny and a half. SPY failed resistance by 56 cents. So that's the bears stepping in and doing their best to prevent this move. And so it's got to be bulls following through from here. And again, I'm remaining skeptical, not skeptical of bulls, but just making sure that they prove it. I'm not taking any assumptions because the bears have had such control over the last week plus. It's I see the setup where bulls can get this bounce going, but they've got to continue to prove it. I can't give them any benefit of the doubt because they haven't earned it over the last week of trading. So checking some of the major individual names, we can see NVDA is trying to hold the low of the day for a 5-minute higher low. Tesla hasn't even started 5-minute consolidation, which again is showing that relative strength consistently on the morning. Apple trying to defend the low of the day and just barely doing it. Crypto stocks are definitely impacted by the NASDAQ a bit. But again, it's the same thing as Tesla. There's relative strength there. All right, some request MKC. So MKC held support of 59.13, just barely, and we must break 62.55 from here. That is the level that would confirm a daily uptrend, and that is approaching. We'll say that the hourly higher low is 60.73, our key short-term support. And so, burning on bulls the next couple of days to get over that daily resistance. Then we would zoom out and know a weekly lower high is the most likely result of this bounce, but that would be the weekly oversold bounce being underway if we can clear 62.55. So the dollar, we talked about that hourly stair step, and it's still going. We have not topped out on the dollar. Checking in on gold. So again, gold is positioned well compared to the dollar, but really wants to see that dollar start some hourly consolidation because this is a V-shaped bounce that is definitely keeping a weekly bull flag in play for the dollar. So the 5-minute uptrend is our guide for the dollar. When we lose it, hourly consolidation will likely be underway, but a strong start first thing. Does RSI matter on the crypto stocks? It matters less, but I wouldn't be ignoring it completely. price levels matter the most to me. Bears are going to try and confirm a 2-minute downtrend. But it matters in the sense that, if the RSI is over 80 on the hourly, the 15-minute, the 5-minute, the 2-minute, we know not to be looking long. It doesn't necessarily mean short here, but it means we're not looking long. So there's still information to be gleaned from it. At this point, bulls would need to be patient for 5-minute consolidation if they're looking for an entry to have better risk reward. QQQ, low of the day test, as Apple is knocking on the door of its low as well. And now Microsoft is joining relative weakness. Microsoft failed the high of yesterday and is at its low of the day. And now we have a bit of a red flag for all these double tops. The next goal for the bears is to confirm a 5-minute downtrend on the NASDAQ to prove they have control. Because if that doesn't happen, we're going to be looking at a potential megaphone. So this is the NASDAQ futures chart. And so if we don't confirm a 5-minute downtrend, we got a 5-minute megaphone, which is the piss everybody off pattern. Stop out the bears, stop out the bulls. So again, this next bounce, it's key for the bears to confirm the 5-minute downtrend to prove their control, because if they don't, then we're just going to do something like that. But again, we can clearly say that there are initial red flags. This is not the ideal start to the morning because IWM, XLF, SPY, QQQ, they all rejected from the high of yesterday by a few pennies. Again, it's not game over for the bulls. It's just not the ideal start. And they still have the proving to do. They have to recover from this. And so if this 5-minute bounce sees 50% plus retracement, then we're certainly going to be watching that 5-minute megaphone. QUAL. QUAL is a daily inside bar. Again, similar to many names, we got close to the high of yesterday. We failed by 17 cents, and we hit a new low of the day. It's just making it that much more difficult for the bulls to break resistance. It's still possible they do so. Must hold support is 131.38, and we're starting the morning with a tightening hourly range as opposed to the ideal scenario for bulls, which would have been just breaking resistance. Google, earnings are after hours, relative strength clear. How is relative strength clear? Well, QQQ just hit down here. Google didn't come close. So Google resistance, there's a decent bid in the 139s on the hourly. But again, this weekly consolidation right now is very healthy, but earnings are going to determine whether that remains the case or not. But clear lead bull on the morning. Netflix still holding on pretty well. Google holding on, Tesla holding on. And so again, let's go back to this NASDAQ. And already the size of this bounce is definitely having us watch this megaphone. So we break the high of pre-market, straight into a low of the day. The low of the day gets no follow through. And here we are, smack dab in the middle of the day's range. The only reason I looked for the megaphone here is because we broke resistance with no follow through, and then we broke support. And I know that if that support break has no follow through, that is megaphone 101. And I really dislike megaphones. Personally, I'm definitely getting better at identifying them, but to have the conviction, it's tricky, to have that conviction before this is shaping up to buy a new low of the day. It's pretty high risk because oftentimes you hit a new low of the day and you follow through. It's the kind of thing where you need to utilize maybe a stair step or something, where 2-minute stair step breaks bull and then you use the low of the day as a stop at that point. But for me personally in my trading career, this is better at identifying them, but it still, for me, means be more patient because this is not your, most profitable pattern to be trading. It's probably your least profitable pattern to be trading. So crypto stocks are going to try and form 5-minute higher lows as the result of next consolidation. Still 5-minute stair steps at this point. Coin just hit a new high of the day. MARA has not. MARA is a tightening 2-minute range. And Riot has not either. Riot has 5-minute consolidation underway. So just at a quick glance, we can say that out of these 3 crypto stocks, MARA is a lead bull. Coin I'd put second, and Riot I would put third in this moment. But that definitely can shift throughout the morning. Bitcoin bulls are going to try and shape up an hourly higher low. Solar sector is seeing a daily bounce with all of our other weaker sectors from yesterday, like ARKK. The 10 years trying to form a daily higher low off EMA 12. Gold trying to test its bounce high as the dollar sees some 5-minute consolidation. So QQQ 5-minute bounce underway. And again, this is where the bears have to prove it. Bears would need to set that lower high quickly and see a new low of the day to confirm a 5-minute downtrend. But oftentimes with megaphones, we go a good bit into the morning before either side can confirm a trend in their favor. 15 minutes of bull, 10 minutes of bear. Nobody's confirmed a 5-minute trend in their favor since the bell rang. So it's a back and forth battle still. The financial sector did hold the low of the day. 5-minute higher low is now set, trying to make it back towards the double top of resistance. So MARA now, a must-hold short-term support is 10.03. That quick little 5-minute higher low. Riot must hold 10.88. Those are now very key short-term support levels if the bulls are going to continue this strength. Tesla trying to make it back to the high of the day as its relative strength persists. Google's still up there. If there's one thing that megaphone recognition helps with, it helps with getting or not getting faked out. And so now here's that V-shaped bounce, and we're going to be watching. Does it lead to a bull break and zero follow-through to keep the pattern going? And again, I just view this right now, this back and forth. It's just two teams just literally battling right under a key level. The bears are doing everything they can to defend the line in the sand resistance. They had an initial rejection. They're not following through with that rejection at this point, which is keeping the bulls hopeful that they can come out on top and break that level. But we are still definitely battling. Nice new high of the day on Tesla. Again, 221 was that little resistance level. Not a significant level. Best case for the crypto stock bulls right now, aside from the NASDAQ breaking resistance, would be for Bitcoin to shape up a 5-minute uptrend, because they want to set that hourly high or low as soon as possible. And whenever this move tops out, we need the 5-minute uptrend to confirm. It's a 5-minute inverse head and shoulders attempt. SPY back to a high of the day test. I care most about high of yesterday in the mid 424s. Apple still weaker. Bulls really want to see Apple gain a 5-minute uptrend to try and see the lead bears start to help out Team Bull. If NVDA fails the high of the day here, it's going to have a really nice 5-minute equilibrium to be watching for the next half hour or so. And then if that tightening 5-minute range breaks bull, the low of today would be our hourly high or low being set. Let's check in on CCJ and uranium. Testing bounce high right now of 39.01. If we break it with no follow through, I'm going to be scouting CCJ to be a rising wedge looking for a weekly lower high. But that's only if there's a break. And what was that? I don't know if that was just stops triggering or what. But that's exactly my point. If we drop from here now, it's going to be a 4-hour. If you've been watching the YouTube videos the past month, I've been talking about 4-hour rising wedges for weekly lower highs. That's what we were watching on oil. And so depending on how the rest of today goes, CCJ may be starting to shape one up. So QQQ pulling back just under the high of the day initially. Tightening range, tug of war going on. Apple's still weak. Got to see that change. XLF is tightening up, 5-minute lower high. Little 5-minute equilibrium there. NVDA has the 5-minute potentially forming that equilibrium. So the direction that XLF breaks this tightening range is going to give us some short-term clues. AI is still up near the high of the day. It's a bit of relative strength there. ARKK keeping its relative strength. Apple low of the day test. XLF is at support. Bears definitely battling. MARA is keeping its relative strength up at the high while Its peers are not there right now. So 5-minute bull flag confirmed on MARA. Riot not doing so yet. Coin is up there as well. It's definitely a bit of a short squeeze in MARA. That Bitcoin move caught a lot of people by surprise. And MARA, the bears didn't have anything to worry about until yesterday. Bears had full control for months. And so anytime you get, a 2-day move where suddenly an entire month of bears are underwater, there's definitely some pressure on the bears. XLF holds support, keeps tightening up. QQQ tightening up. Still got the relative strength in Tesla. Microsoft needs to gain a 5-minute uptrend from here to try and join the bulls. Right now, Apple and Microsoft are the weaker names in the NASDAQ. Metals are still doing a decent job on their bounce. You look at silver at its bounce high, again, going up the last 3 hours while the dollar has been going up as well. Got to see that dollar top out here shortly. Nice new high for Tesla. Again, how many times has Tesla hit a new high of the day while QQQ has not? The answer is the last 3 5-minute candles in a row. Just really nice, consistent relative strength all morning. RTX. So gap up on earnings, have to set an hourly support level. So if we break 76.96, the bears confirm a 5-minute downtrend into further hourly consolidation. We have to see the bulls confirm a 5-minute uptrend for us to then say, okay, the low of the day is our new hourly higher low, and for the bulls to try and see continuation from there. But right now we are in gap up profit-taking mode. And it's just a question of how much profit taking do we see before an hourly support level is established. And we use that 5-minute trend as our guide as we are approaching a low of the day test. Bulls really want that 5-minute higher low here to try and shape up a quick hourly higher low as opposed to continued gap fill. As far as the bigger picture, we know a weekly lower high is the most likely scenario. Eventually, bulls are hoping it's not yet. QQQ back to the high of the day test. The fight rages on. Microsoft is trying to rejoin the team bulls. Got to get to the high of the day here. Again, checking back in on the megaphone. Little tweak for that candle there. It's a tough battle. Big picture, this battle is important to dictate today. but it's such a small range. So new high of the day on QQQ. Still watching highs of yesterday on XLF, IWM, SPY, and QQQ. All still have not broken, but coming back into play again. And again, on QQQ here, nobody has confirmed a 5-minute uptrend yet. We had 3 bull candles, couple bear candles, now some bull candles, still no 5-minute trend confirmed. If we start another pullback here, I'm just going to tweak my line a little bit again. So now it's the bears that are PO'd. If they were using the high of the day as a stop. Checking back in on Bitcoin. Still very, Bitcoin's working on a third 5-minute inside bar in a row. Its volatility is shrinking up big time. But MARA doesn't care. It keeps chugging higher. XBI. So we know anything under 71.47 is a daily lower high. There's tons of space for it to form. We also know we haven't confirmed an hourly uptrend yet. So wherever this move tops out, we then have to hold 65.38 and confirm that hourly uptrend. If anything is going to shift. That sector has been beaten down big time. Definitely need that hourly uptrend to confirm if that daily bounce is going to go anywhere. XLF still a 5-minute equilibrium. Just getting real tight here. We should see a break within the next 20 minutes or so. Whatever direction this equilibrium breaks, have to ensure that the high of the day or the low of the day, whichever direction it breaks as well right after for conviction in terms of follow through. Checking back in on the NVDA 5-minute equilibrium, still tightening up. So again, there's 2 ways to trade equilibriums. If you have conviction on the direction it's going to break, let's say I'm pretty confident we're going to break bull here eventually, I'm making a play off support. If I'm pretty confident that the NASDAQ bears are going to reject the price, I'm making a play off resistance. And if I don't have high conviction, then I'm patiently waiting for the break and hoping it gets as tight as possible before the break occurs. If this equilibrium does tighten up another 15 plus minutes, I may end up trading that break. Ideally looking for it to be a bull break for the hourly higher low to set. If at that point in time we have some confidence that the NASDAQ can follow through over the high of yesterday. But I would want this to tighten up a bit further first. Bitcoin still trying to shape up that 5-minute inverse head and shoulders. The consolidation has now started. So we got to hold the current low and then confirm a 5-minute uptrend for the hourly higher low to be set. So we'll keep an eye on that. XLF testing resistance. 30, 30, 32, 32, 32, 36. Netflix still hanging on strong. Google's still hanging on. Tesla, lead bull still hanging on. Again, it's Apple's they got to recruit Apple to team bull here, and it's trying to shape up a falling wedge. If this is an Apple falling wedge on the short term, the NASDAQ is likely to break the high of yesterday. Because again, the Apple is the biggest reason the NASDAQ is struggling right now. And so if this can shift momentum, it would be significant. AI has some real nice follow through, continuing its relative strength all morning. Looks like some decent volume on the morning, highest first hour, or certainly higher than 3 of the last 4 days. Approaching that daily resistance, 26.46. NVDA's got to form that 5-minute higher low right about now. So again, an aggressive bull is looking for an NVDA play off the low of the day. Coin key short-term support, if 87.86 were to break from here, bulls would lose short-term momentum and we'd be looking at 15-minute consolidation being underway. So we don't have a clear winner. It's now 50 minutes into the trading day, and it definitely can still go either way. We've got some clear individual winners, Tesla being the most glaring one. Back to the megaphone. I was going to say, what's the Apple headline for this weakness? Looks like there was one about risks with Taiwan potentially having an impact. But again, the NASDAQ bulls are not going to see any kind of break with confidence if Apple is at the low of the day. Crypto stocks cooling off a bit, so Coin did just confirm that short-term downtrend into 15-minute consolidation. MARA 5-minute consolidation is underway, our lead bull. Riot had a bull break 0 follow-through. And that 5-minute inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin is becoming less likely as we are testing the low. Definitely more retracement than the bulls want to see. Still tightening up the hourly equilibrium. No higher low set yet. Tesla 5-minute consolidation underway. And now we start to watch for the relative strength to shift a bit. We've had relative strength all morning. Let's go to Tesla divided by QQQ, and I bet it's starting to shift here. So just a bit. Bears are hoping for a big enough pullback on Tesla to create space for a 5-minute lower high next bounce, knowing they have to confirm a 5-minute downtrend if they're going to gain control. NVDA failed to hold 5-minute support. It did hold the low of the day, but that's technically a 5-minute downtrend confirming. The NASDAQ is just chop city in terms of this tug of war, with Apple pulling bearish and Tesla trying to pull bullish. So at this point, the crypto stocks we're going to be watching for 15-minute higher lows eventually. And the best case for bulls there would be for a 15-minute higher low on the stock to align with a Bitcoin hourly higher low shaping up. We're going to watch retracement size. There's MARA's pullback. Riot's 15-minute pullback, already 50% retracement. Bitcoin is now testing hourly EMA 12. Keep an eye on 5-minute oversold conditions approaching. We've bounced from 5-minute oversold conditions the last few times we've gotten there. Best case from here for the NASDAQ bears would be for this to be a 5-minute head and shoulders, where we fail the high of the day and then confirm the 5-minute downtrend. Again, nobody's confirmed a 5-minute trend on the morning. Neither bulls nor bears. So still watching who's going to be the first to get it. Apple falling wedge check-in. Trying to join Team Bull. Apple will have to confirm a 5-minute uptrend as well. The reason we started watching for a falling wedge here was the bear break into a bounce, bear break into a bounce, just no follow through on the bear breaks. It's almost a switch right now where Tesla is seeing some relative weakness the last 10 minutes while Apple is trying to shift its weakness to strength. An example here on NVDA, if you were playing this 5-minute equilibrium, you want to be using that low of the day as a stop. Look at the difference here. So it is an extra $1 of risk, a little bit more than that. You know, your stop's just under 428 here, and it's just under 427 here. But there's instances where one time frame breaks, and then it's just a higher low on a longer time frame. And whenever I've got two support levels, if they're close enough together, I always default to the lower level, just for that example where you break one but don't break the other. And so now this is NVDA trying for a 15-minute higher low versus the low of the day, and it's possibly then form a 15-minute tightening range. QQQ back to testing the high of the day. XLF is testing the high of yesterday. IWM, SPY, so we're back to All these sectors testing this key short-term resistance. And a lot of it is to do with Apple shifting. But we are still megaphone range bound. So crypto stocks hoping that a 15-minute higher low aligns with a Bitcoin 5-minute oversold bounce. If the bears are going to see significant follow through, they're going to have to confirm the 5-minute downtrend, just like anything. And that is a possibility. Riot is pulling back the most. So again, there is space for these 5-minute head and shoulders attempts from here. But if the NASDAQ breaks over the high of yesterday, that will make those 5-minute head and shoulders less likely. This is the first time on the morning that the NASDAQ's testing the high of the day and Tesla is not close. Absolutely nothing wrong with being patient on a morning like this where you just got a tug of war. Waiting to see who's going to be the winner. Again, I do favor the bull still a bit for the daily bounces to then be looking for daily lower highs as a bear. But proving to be done. All of our major sectors are close enough to the high where it's possible they all hit a new high of the day together. That would be a good sign of confidence if that were to happen. Apple's going to try and shape up a 5-minute inverse head and shoulders here. We know Bitcoin just failed to do so. Gonna watch Bitcoin to try and shape up a 5-minute falling wedge for an hourly higher low. MARA trying to build a base around 1020 for a short-term bounce. Bitcoin bounces and rejects and then break bull. That would look like MARA bouncing, setting a 5-minute lower high, but essentially at this point on the crypto stocks, you want to see a level and say, that's either the 15-minute high or low, or I'm wrong, to use that as a stop, because just using MAR as an example, stop a 956 low of the day is way too much risk for a good risk reward setup. I need to be using a level that's much closer. And so I would want to see MARA with a big enough bounce on the 2-minute, and then look for a 2-minute high or low using that level as a stop. And then if we confirm a 2-minute uptrend, that's our 15-minute high or low being set. And we would want it to align with QQQ breaking the high of yesterday and Bitcoin setting the hourly high or low. So again, that's all the moving parts and all the pieces of the puzzle that are a factor in the MARA setup. But for me, Bitcoin is the most important aspect right now, just because the bears have control of the short-term trend and there's no sign of the hourly high or low shaping up just yet. And just knowing how extended the 4-hour, the 12-hour, the daily timeframes are, any bull entries at these levels on these crypto names need to have a tight stop, because we know Bitcoin daily consolidation is going to be inevitable here after going straight up for 20% the last week. And the last thing we want to do is grab a long position right before that consolidation begins. Jeez, is the megaphone still going? It broke out of my line. I wouldn't want to adjust my line that much, because then it's no longer really valid. But price level, QQQ still didn't break the high of yesterday. Nope, I take that back. We broke it by 7 pennies. And we do have a 5-minute uptrend. So we do have a 5-minute uptrend guide now on QQQ. We do still have XLF with a double top at the high of yesterday. And we do still need Apple bulls to confirm some short-term uptrends to continue joining Team Bull. I don't love the Tesla relative weakness that's starting to shape up. Still no major red flags. It's really just sideways while QQQ has been going up. But we're going to keep in mind that a Tesla daily lower high is the most likely scenario. Keeping an eye on hourly RSI. Technically, if the hourly RSI gets to 70, that's a reverse back burner there. First hourly overbought, looking for a daily lower high. AI is testing that daily lower high resistance. Extremely nice price action today. Very pleased with what the bulls have put together. CCJ. So CCJ is hovering around this resistance. Again, it's, if we confirm a 5-minute downtrend from here, we're going to call it a bull break with no follow through. And again, I want to see how today's full trading day goes, but I'm absolutely cautious of the 4-hour rising wedge for a weekly lower high. It's only the initial signs for it. There's no major red flags. But again, every step forward from here for the bears increases the probability. The next step would be the 5-minute downtrend. If we hit a new low of the day, the probability would go up a good bit. So it's definitely on watch. But if we hold a 5-minute high or low and make it back to a new high of the day, then that makes it a lot less likely. But this is a pretty decent pullback, so the bears are going to try the 5-minute downtrend from here. So from here, what the bulls want to see is Apple, new high of the day. QQQ, keep that 5-minute uptrend going. SPY, break the double top with the high of yesterday. XLF, break the double top with the high of yesterday. ARKK bulls continue showing that strength. They're grinding up right now. That might be a rising wedge shaping up. ARKK, 2-minute rising wedge watch. If it confirms, we zoom out and look for a 15-minute higher low. You could either draw it like that from the low of the day or draw it like that from these consolidation points. But looking at the 15-minute time frame, wouldn't be surprising to see 15-minute consolidation into the afternoon. So keeping an eye out to see if this, again, it's just bull break right into consolidation, bull break right into consolidation. That's when we start to scout that wedge. Still not high conviction on these breaks. Again, SPY is a double top and XLF is a double top right now. Gotta see them break as well. Checking back in on Bitcoin. Coin is testing 5-minute support. MARA already broke, so still no 15-minute higher low on MARA. Riot down the most. But I am going to be watching MARA for the 15-minute higher low. If I get a bit more confidence that Bitcoin is shaping up an hourly higher low. 5-minute EMA 12 resistance on Bitcoin for the last hour and a half. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, what we need to see, Apple new high of the day. SPY and XLF need more conviction on their breaks. The bulls definitely have the upper hand. You know, we got a lot of 1% plus major NASDAQ names on the screen. Apple's got to join in here. And if Apple confirms a 5-minute uptrend, that will be the NASDAQ following through over that high of yesterday. Again, right now it's 7 pennies. That is not enough. Tesla is looking for a 15-minute higher low, but that relative strength definitely shifted to a bit of relative weakness over the last 20 minutes. And again, from here, eventually, over the next couple days, depending on major tech earnings, but we are going to be keeping an eye out for daily lower highs to be the most likely result of this bounce on IWM, XLF, QQQ. Not in any rush to be looking bearish because the daily bounce is just trying to get underway. But just again, looking ahead a few days from now, I know that that's something that I'm going to be looking for from here. Appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you Chart Guys members in the chat room in just a minute. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.